Peter Charles here, Folks for Life Fly Fishing. And today let me introduce a new series I'm doing on efficient spey casting. Now, I've done a lot of instruction, I've watched a lot of guys on the water, and I see the same problems occur over and over again. And it really doesn't matter if the person is using Skagit gear, Scandi gear, long belly. It doesn't matter if they're doing double speys or underhand single speys or downstream perry pokes. It doesn't matter. You see the same things. Anchor, D-loop, forward stroke, too much power, rushing, all these things are happening. And a lot of it comes down to poor anchors and poor D-loops. And, I can sit and, say, okay, the D-loop should look like this, it should look like this, the me should have done this, or should have done that. It doesn't help all that much if there's not an understanding of what should be going on and why things are the way they are, why line weights are done in certain ways, why there are certain tapers. It sounds like it's getting technical, but it's based on a simple thing that I call productive weight. And if you maximize the productive weight in the D-loop, it makes your cast way more easy because the rod loads properly. And when the rod loads properly, you're not rushing, you're not pounding the crap out of it. You're not blowing your anchor because the rod is loaded. So you just have to cast normally and away it goes. And a lot of the problems come from the fact that people have poor anchors and their D-loops are inefficient. And they don't always think of the type of line they're using. You can't go from a Scandi to a Skagit to a really short Skagit like the Scout, or a short head line, like a 55-foot line, and cast the same D-loop. You're going to be casting different D-loops depending on the line you're using. And that adds extra complexity. And some people who can't adjust from one to another, but they're flipping backwards and forwards, they end up with, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So what we're going to get into in this series is using this model I've created here. I've got this little model set up. I can adjust it. I can show you the different effects of what productive weight is all about and why it's important and why it changes, whether you're an overhead cast, or whether you're doing a Scandi style cast or a Skagit style cast, whether your leaders are long or short, where the weight is in the line. All of these things have an impact on productive weight. And if you maximize the productive weight and minimize the unproductive weight, you will simply get a better spey cast. Simple as that. You do not want to do the reverse, which is maximizing unproductive weight and minimizing the productive weight. Then people start thrashing to overcompensate for the fact that they have this inefficient D-loop. So we're going to get into that, and I'm going to be looking at D-loops with different styles of casting. We're going to use the model here. We're also going to use some footage that I'll put up of me casting. It's old stock footage going back as much as 10 years, but it all still applies. And I'll try and get some new footage out too, because I don't have anything on Scout heads that's really usable for instruction. I got lots on Scout heads, just nothing that's instruction oriented. So we'll try and knock off a few videos on what casting these short heads is all about. And in the end, the objective of this is you can look at how you're casting when you get on the water and realize that, the unproductive weight is too great and the productive weight is too small, and that's why you're working hard, and that's why your casts are blowing your anchors and throwing tailing loops and all this other nonsense. And as soon as you've got good productive weight, it's amazing how it all becomes so much easier. So that's what we're going to do. So stay tuned to the next one. We're going to look at my model here. We're going to discuss, the way, whether you're using a Scandi style or a Skagit style, how it changes the D-loop and how it changes productive weight. And we're going to compare that to overhead casting, because the baseline for us is an overhead cast. And we should always be thinking about trying to get our spey cast as close to an overhead cast as practically possible. So we're going to use that, sort of baseline, and we'll examine how that all gets put together. We'll get into the Scout heads versus Skagit heads, and we'll get into long leaders versus short leaders and how that affects your casting. We always think about the fishing, how about what it does to your casting, and what scout lines how they should be cast versus how we try to cast them, and how we should be thinking of them. And we'll go on through. I'll probably add a few more subjects as I go. And I think, as the season's rolling around and we're getting into steelhead season in the Great Lakes, I think this could be a valuable series. So check it out. Cheers.